Hi everyone, welcome to Honey Drops Tarot. This is a bonus reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. Cancer, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of your likes, shares, and subscribes. I truly appreciate it. Just a quick note, please do not fall for any scammers. I will never reach out to solicit for a private reading. I do offer private readings, and if you're interested in signing up for one of those or in making a donation, the information regarding that can be found in the About section of my YouTube page, and I thank you so much in advance. So Cancer, I hope that you're doing well. This bonus reading is all about what your dreams are trying to tell you. I recently had a very jarring kind of theta wave / dream state experience, and I can't let it go. I don't really know what it's all about. I believe that I was witness to some light codes, and having not been that versed in light codes, it's almost like I didn't know what I was looking at, and I just thought I haven't been able to shake it off. And so I thought I should do this series of readings for all of you to see what your spirit guides want to say about how you've been interpreting your dreams, or if you've been able to interpret your dreams lately. So I'm going to use 3 decks for your reading today. I'm going to get the overall energy from the wild unknown archetypes. And then for your tarot reading, for the main spread today, I'm going to be using both of these amazing decks, the Oracle of Mystical Moments and the Tarot of Mystical Moments, both by Katrin Weltstein. So cards have been pre-shuffled. This is for Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. For Cancer, what is the overall energy for what their dreams are trying to tell them? The Sword. So, right, like immediately I saw cord cutting. There's a particular cord cutting video that I like to do every once in a while. And this is what I tell people, and this is what I do. It's really good to cut cords with literally everyone in your life. It's not that you're saying goodbye to these people, you're just cutting the energetic cords and releasing the energy that's been siphoned by you inadvertently or on purpose, and taking back the energy that they have kind of inadvertently or on purpose siphoned off of you. It's just kind of returning the energy back to the side in which it belongs. The sword this could also represent the Ace of Swords, which talks about clarity. So it's almost like in your dream state, you're trying to, one, figure out solutions to problems, to get some clarity on them, but you're also trying to, I think, put up energetic boundaries. This is what I really feel, that it's kind of, then all these expressions regarding swords are coming to mind. One of them is pretty brutal, which is to, fall on one's sword. Metaphorically speaking, it's like to make a sacrifice. But it can also kind of represent a little bit of martyrdom, which is something that we always want to avoid. We don't want to be, nobody likes that kind of energy. I mean, maybe people do. I don't personally, but this is not about me. So, although I am a Cancer too, and I just felt like I needed to say that. I also see this is reminding me, it's kind of going to show my interest here, but I love the show Doctor Who. Thank you, Spirit. I love the show Doctor Who, especially the versions of Doctor Who that involved David Tennant and Matt Smith. And in the Matt Smith seasons, there was this theme that went throughout the whole season. It was like a thread, and that thread talked about a crack in time. So, and that crack, it looked kind of like this, and it was like the universe kind of tearing apart at the seams. That's a line from an Eagles song, Best of My Love, which I've mentioned on this channel before. If you've never heard the Eagles song, Best of My Love, I highly recommend It's definitely dated. It's from the 70s, I think. It was when I was young. It's a beautiful kind of love song, like a ballad, a rock country ballad. And the line in the song, Spirit's not giving it to me now because now I can hear the rest of the song. Just listen to that song. I think there might be a message in it for you. But there's a line in it, coming apart at the seams. It's talking about a relationship. You see it your way and I see it mine, and we both see it slipping away. So this could reference a relationship, a key relationship in your life that you've been trying to separate from, or just, I feel just like massive boundaries here. Obviously you can see, but it's like multiple layers of boundaries. It's not just cut in half, but it's also dimensional too. It's cut in half, but then it's kind of spreading this way, and then there's like a yin and yang kind of energy, and I just see it's like stacked on top of one another, like parallel worlds, and trying to make sense of everything. So I'm going to get 3 cards for the base spread, which is going to be made up of the oracle cards, and then 3 cards for clarifier, which are going to be your tarot cards. There's no particular outline of a spread. It's just the channel messages that come from these cards regarding Cancer's dreams. What are your dreams trying to tell you? Yeah, okay. So an extra card came out, and that extra card is very significant. It's very significant to me, at least. I'm sure it's significant to you. King of Swords in the reverse. Like, God, just the meaning for me is already making me roll my eyes, but I won't get into it, but it's very relevant. But for your reading, look at that. Look at even the way that he's holding the sword matches this. I mean, could it be any more synchronous? Even this kind of mimics this, right? The bird. So you got the King of Swords in reverse though. So the King of Swords in the upright talks about, is a court card. So it's somebody who's reached the end of the suit. So it's a person, a divine masculine, doesn't have to represent a man. It's just someone with very strong divine masculine energy. That could be you. And it talks about somebody who normally would be in a position of power, authority, learnedness. They're very educated people, experts in their field. That's the King of Swords. Very mature, very discerning. It's Gemini energy, sometimes attributed to Aquarius, but I attribute it to Gemini. When the cord, interesting when I said cord. When the card is in reverse, everything is flipped on its head. We don't know our up from our down. We don't even know what we know anymore. We're not sure. So I feel as though some kind of paradigm shift is happening for you, where what you thought you knew as something that was truth is being called into question. Thank you, Spirit. It's being called into question. Something that you really, it was something almost sacred to you, a sacred truth, and it's just being called into question, and therefore you're calling your own judgment into question. So the first 2 cards that we get here, number 50, the Observer, reduces to a 5, the Hierophant card in the Major Arcana. The Hierophant card references spirituality, religion, codes of conduct, standards, rules. With the Observer here, I'm immediately drawn to the fact that, one, we see dandelion seeds kind of blowing in the wind. It's like procreation in a way. But then the observer in this depiction, it's like her eyes are looking through some kind of filter. So instead of observing it directly with one's own eyes, you're looking through a kind of framing. So it's one of those things where some people have dreams where they're observers of themselves, almost like lucid dreaming state, but you're not necessarily controlling it. It's just that you're observing what's going on, like in the world, but not of the world. But it's like in your dreams, but not of your dreams. And things are in a very particular kind of framing. See, I see this sliver of the moon here. It's echoed here. It's like thus far, it's almost been a little bit of maybe you've seen what you wanted to see. You're the one creating the context. But with the Tower card clarifying that, it's kind of, that's kind of falling away now, right? We're calling into question what it is that we believed. And always the Tower will always reference a great lightning strike from spirit, right? Falling apart at the seams. Take that as your second synchronicity, right? Tower card is a major arcana, represents Aries and Scorpio. Really heavy, really intense. And it could be something, you know, like we're holding on desperately to. But I loved that belief that I had. Could be about a person, could be about an ideology. And when that's called into question, it can be so disappointing, can't it? When I've experienced this recently. I talked to my sister about it the other day, that there's just somebody in my life that I'm gonna have to step away from because we're just not in the same vibration. And I wanted to believe that we could be. We're just not. And that's okay. Everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own journey that they need to take. And we don't always need to be privy to it. We don't always need to accept it. We can love somebody from a distance, right? But it sucks. It's like, you know, you may have built something really beautiful with them, but it was on shaky ground to begin with. So the Tower comes in as great shock, awe, and surprise. And it's one of those things where you could see red flags, but we chose to see what we wanted to see. And now we're understanding that we may have, and this is like the kind of most passive way of saying it, we may have misjudged the situation, and that's okay. We use the best information that we have at the time to make sense of things. We may have misjudged the situation, and now things are starting to collapse, if only in our minds. Like, this person that I'm going to step away from, they have no idea. And they're not going to really perceive it until they do. But they're not going to really perceive it because I'm not going to end conversation with them. I'm not going to, it's just not going to be as deep as I'm used to having in a friendship of regarding conversation and like really connecting with a person. I can't connect to this person anymore. Not in the phase that they're in right now. And wow, what a disappointment that was, and a revelation, and it did kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. So there could be a similar situation like that. That's just an example. With the next cards that are coming out, Number 24, Mermaid's Love. This is very, very dreamy if ever I saw it. 24 reduces to a 6, which is the lover's energy, but it talks about a choice. And this is interesting too, because Mermaid's Love, it's an impossible kind of love, isn't it? Because she lives under the sea and he lives on land. So you could be connecting to somebody at a distance through your dream state. I mean, I think that a lot of people have spoken to, I was going to use the word verified, but I'm going to rather use the word spoken to their own experience with dreams, and that if you're dreaming about someone, chances are they're dreaming about you, or they're thinking about you, or they're calling on your energy. And so this could be somebody at a distance, somebody that you really care about, that you can't be with, that they're trying to communicate. But there's a choice point, right? It's like this again. We're faced with this oppositional energy, like moving from these two spaces seem so separate to me. And they're separated by this like sword of truth. Okay, Spirit just said, there's your version, there's my version, and then there's the truth. Now they're showing me, have you ever seen that diagram of shapes? And one shape is like a square, and one shape is a circle, and then the third shape is like a cylinder or something like that. And the diagram says all of these shapes are true. It just depends on what perspective you're looking at that shape. It can look like a flat circle, it can look like a square, or it can look like a tube. I don't know if it's circle, square, tube, but you get what I'm saying. It's looking at something from different perspectives. All those perspectives are true, but it depends on where you're standing. It's the observer, right? Now we're talking about quantum mechanics. It's the observer that creates the reality, the truth of something. You know, if a lot of people witness the same event, they all remember it as they saw it, but the perspectives are all different. This is like Mandela effect. Mandela effect stuff is just so prevalent right now, and this could be something that you're also dealing with, where people are just remembering things differently from how they actually are, or they actually were, or how they remember them. And like I was just talking with a friend. This is a funny example of the Mandela effect, which is the idea that there's a whole group of consciousness that remembers the same thing differently than how it appears now. So for example, one of the most famous ones is, there are these very popular books, children's books, called The Berenstain Bears. It's just this family of bears that have adventures, and you know, Berenstain Bears go to the doctor, Berenstain Bears go to school, Berenstain Bears go on vacation, right? And there's one universe where people swear on their life that the name Berenstain was spelled S-T-A-I-N, and then there's a whole other group of people that say it was Berenstein, S-T-E-I-N. I'm sure you all have seen this. It is still confounding. This is legion, like masses and masses and masses of people that are trying to debunk Mandela effect situations. Like, I am one of those people that remembers that Nelson Mandela died in prison. And I was young, but I was old enough to remember, like, that person died in prison. Now that might be able to be explained by politics, that the media in South Africa put that information out because Nelson Mandela was such a pivotal figure in, you know, freedom from apartheid and all that stuff, that they wanted everybody to believe that he was dead so that people weren't going to rally because he was such a leader. That's one possibility. Like, I could see that actually happening. Like, I could see that happening, but I remember that person not being, and then one day he was just released from prison. It's just like, what? Didn't he already pass away? I swear to you, he did. That's where the Mandela effect comes from. Anyway, there's a reason why I'm talking about it. It's that there could be something that is cropping up in your dreams that you know was one way, but it's almost like the world is telling you it's another. And you're like, no, but I remember it. I remember it being the way that I remember it. 100,000%. And so with this reference here, with the number 6, the Lover's card, it's also the card of choice. And so maybe it's kind of like you having to decide, am I going to engage with this even though it seems impossible? Or am I going to let it go because it's not feasible? Am I going to walk away from it? 8 of Cups. Walking away from something, understanding that we don't know what's out there. We don't know what's behind all of this kind of jungle scenery. But we're walking away from it towards something else. That's what the 8 of Cups represents. Again, with this kind of crescent moon up here. That's 3 crescent moons so far in this reading. That seems significant. That you could be having a very significant dream around the next crescent moon. So you might want to look up when that's happening. I also see you, you know, I just did it yesterday again. I was talking about Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but it's just relevant here. It's just relevant. This kind of chasm that Indiana Jones has to cross, this is anything but a chasm, but it's a very narrow path. It's a very narrow path that if you choose symbolically in your dreams to walk away from a situation, the path that you're going to be walking on will be very narrow. It'll be very focused, and maybe that's exactly what you need. I see Spirit just wanted me to say, though, you're protected. It's almost like they wanted to show me all of these pairings here. Like, these are your spirit guides. You're protected. But it's the choice is up to you, whether it's almost like this is like an impossible love, or an impossible, you know, if you're having dreams about somebody who's passed away, that could be another thing. It feels like an impossible love. It's your choice of whether or not to engage with it. It's interesting here, though, because I just saw this little bird on his top hat, and the next card is like a bird. Almost as if, you know, it is a seemingly impossible relationship, but it's something that I can carry with me into the waking world. Number 22, it's a master number, but it does reduce to a 4, which is the Emperor card. There is a sense of regality with this card, like a regalness. Even like the bird is huge in comparison to this character. Bird also, it references the swords suit. They always feature birds, right? You see how this is kind of bird companions. I mean, of course, I'm gonna now think of the Nelly Furtado song, I'm like a bird, I'll only fly away. I don't know where my home is. So, I'm not a fan of that song, but that's what came to my mind. But it's almost like this is even both of these cards, these birds are like, they're loyal, they're companions. It's almost like they're a part of them, because we see here this wing. So you could have, you could be able to fly in your dreams, which a lot of people that I talk to have told me they can fly in their dreams. I never have dreams that cool. I mean, mine are just kind of like the other night. It was just really scary, and then I started seeing the light codes, and I was like, what's happening, spirit? And half awake, and it was just a jumbled mess. But in your dreams, you could be taking off. You could be really truly feeling like it's your time. And it's clarified by the devil in reverse, Capricorn energy. So you got there are only 3 of these tarot cards, and 2 of them are major arcana: the Tower and the Devil. Number 16 and number 15. The Devil, you did get this card in reverse, but the Devil card talks about just being trapped and bound, being stuck, being stagnant, being obsessed with things, or addicted, or misguided. Right? It's kind of like fun and games until you look at it more closely. Just this kind of, this kind of mushroom is a reference. It's the earliest reference that was made to Saint Nicholas, Saint Nick, like Santa Claus. Like the reason why modern culture associates Santa Claus with red and white is because of this mushroom that grows at the base of like the pine tree or whatever we make into Christmas trees. There's something like that. So it's kind of like this, it's this like, jolly looking mushroom, and then it's just this arachnid, and there are these cherries here that are like representative of temptation. But you did get this card in reverse, so it's kind of like saying we've broken free from that, maybe because we've cut some cords energetically so that we're not trapped to it anymore. It's almost like you took that sword and kind of worked your way through all of these cobwebs, and now there's a space where you're free and clear, but there's a tentativeness. There's a tentativeness on your part, like I don't want to let go. So I'm going to read from the book to see what the sword has to say regarding your dreams. The sword, the knife, the blade, the weapon. To use the sword is to decide. See? I was talking about the Lover's card. It's a choice point. The blade separates one reality from another. The choice is made and all else falls away. If you find the sword in your grasp, you can no longer hesitate. This weapon requires a clear and decisive mind and a willingness to act. An onlooker may think the sword bearer is hasty and violent, but the most compassionate and responsible gesture is one that is honest, swift, and accurate. Our first encounter with the sword is at birth, when the cord we share with the mother is cut. Talking about cutting cords, right? This moment defines our separation from her and begins our journey of becoming ourself. We must make these cuts again and again if we are to grow. Decisions shape our life, and the sword is an infamous shaper of destiny. So that's your reading, Cancer. I hope that it resonated. If it did, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Please hit the bell notification to be updated as to when I post new readings. Thank you, Cancer.